Todd Gurley was a dog in his prime. He went to Super Bowl with the Rams, but lost. And after that, his career just took a huge downhill turn. But let's just look at his whole career and see what went wrong. Gurley was drafted with the 10th pick in 2015 after being a dog at Georgia. His first or second year is probably his best with about 1,400 yards catching and rushing and 15 plus touchdowns. His rookie year in the league, he ran for 1,000 plus yards and he had 10 touchdowns. He was looking very promising. At the end of December in 2015, though, he did get turf toe, which held him out for some time. But he came back solid in 2016 with almost 900 yards and 6 touchdowns. Not much else went on this year for Gurley. In 2017, though, with the Rams, they would make the playoffs, and Gurley rushed for 1,300 plus yards that year, and he had 13 touchdowns as well. He was always pretty underrated in the receiving game too, and this year he had more than 700 receiving yards along with 7 touchdowns. This was a great year that showed he was truly worth the 10th pick in 2015. In the playoffs this year, he rushed for 101 on 14 carries, but the Rams lost in the wild card. In 2018, Gurley had another 1,000-plus yard rushing season and had more touchdowns this time with 17. Gurley and the Rams would storm through the regular season with a 13-3 record. They would finish one seed in the NFC and would make the Super Bowl. Obviously, this was after one of the most talked about calls in NFL history, but this wasn't Gurley's fault, so we won't linger on it now. Gurley was solid in the playoffs with 160 yards and 2 touchdowns, even though a little more was desired. The Rams lost in probably the most boring Super Bowl ever against the Patriots, but they were still good overall, and Gurley was looking to take his career up from here. In the offseason, Gurley would sign a record deal for a running back, but this would start his downfall. 2019 was just his last season with the Rams right after that deal, and he suffered many minor injuries throughout his career so far. He had finished his college career tearing his ACL, and he had suffered turf toe, knee sprains, and some other minor injuries in the NFL. But the severity of his injuries were never as bad as what I thought they were. Although he never suffered a torn ACL in the league, he did develop arthritis, probably making teams skeptical of him after he was cut by the Rams. And even though he didn't tear his ACL in the league, I would assume that back in college that would linger with him because that is a major injury. In 2020, he would end up with the Falcons, and he was alright. He went for over 800 total yards and had a still solid 9 touchdowns on the ground. And I think a lot of us remember the infamous play on the goal line that led to the Falcons losing, where he actually scored, and that's one of the reasons he lost. But I wouldn't really hold that against him. 2020 was his last season in the NFL. Reports say that he could have gone to the Lions for the 21 season, but he ended up not. But Gurley was a dog when he was good, but a lot of people just don't care about that. A fall off or being washed is really what they care about. People really only cared about where he was at the end of his career and not how good he was before and what he came from. And this is why just no one really talked about him anymore.